Good morning, YouTube. November 12th. Freezing cold, snowy and nasty outside in beautiful Wisconsin. My topic is a topic that's been plaguing me, so to speak, for the past couple days. Mental illness. Got two dear friends of mine. I'm not mentioning any names, but one is somebody that I helped basically get into recovery along with his family. And, he suffered from mental illness for a long time due to heavy drug use and severe head injuries and stuff. So, and his wife, who's a dear friend to me, my wife, and my son Jackson, she hasn't quite gotten the chance to have the bond with my daughter yet because she's down in Florida. But when mental illness, when you watch a friend rapidly decline and within a month going into a form of psychosis. Now, this person was already kind of off the wall, but I understood him, and he had a lot of great points and a good heart. But behind closed doors, you put on the facade of this great, wonderful person that some people couldn't understand. But behind closed doors, he had his, what I would call, punching bag, his wife. Now, his form of punching bag was psychological and mental abuse, so to speak, towards his wife. Just constantly belittling this woman, constantly putting her down. So I am 100,000% against laying a hand on a female. If you watch one of my videos on opening the door for a woman, that's something that is very instilled into me. Now, I myself am torn because a couple nights ago, his, what I would consider psychosis, where he steps into the realm of now he feels as he is a prophet. He has powers that he can speak to spirits and this and that. Well, that the other night turned into this mental abuse towards his wife, and psychological abuse towards his wife turned violent, where he actually pinned her into the bathroom, grabbing her by both her arms and her wrist and swinging him. Now, he's 1.5 feet taller than this woman and outweighs her by 100 and some pounds. He's a big man. And then begins to turn on the bathroom sink and splash water in her face while screaming, "Get out, this is holy water, get out, demon, get out, Satan, get out." Just horrific. So, now where I'm torn is, yes, he's a good friend of mine who I know is suffering from mental illness. But you lay a hand on a woman, that's it. And it's a good thing that I didn't get that call before he hauled ass, because we both would have been in jail. Because I'd have beat his ass, friend or not. So, what this is, mental illness is definitely a severe, I don't like to use the word mental illness, but in this state that he's in is, definitely in a state of complete psychosis. Some of the people that you see walking down the street, talking to themselves, yelling at the sky and stuff, those are people that have stepped into psychosis and aren't able to come out. There's a chance on normal people. It doesn't have to be drug related. There's people, users of methamphetamines that use quite a bit of them, go into a state of psychosis. It's like where they step out of reality, basically. And he was showing signs of that, even telling me that he wasn't even sure if I was real or an illusion. So that rapid decline in a month was very visible, and we all knew it was just a ticking time bomb. But when it steps from, the verbal abuse, which is just, as far as I'm concerned, just as bad as physical abuse, if not worse, step those bounds into physical abuse. That's where you draw the line. You got to pay the piper. You get your ass locked up. So this is basically for women that are dealing with abuse, if it be verbal abuse. Verbal abuse, over time will definitely whittle and beat you down, like chopping down a tree, a humongous tree. Even with a small hatchet, each nick, will eventually, over time, topple that tree, being your self-esteem, being your confidence. Now these women, these men, it goes both ways too. Women, are guilty of doing it to their boyfriends or husbands or whatnot. So, but it's mainly in the male population. And the way I look at it is I try to tell people, females in particular, you're given one life on this earth. One. Now, I believe that, once you leave this earth, if you've done a good job, you go on to live an life of eternity. You go to heaven. But the life that you're given on earth, you get that one time. And my biggest fear is that women that deal with this abuse and deal with it, some people in their beliefs in their religion is they don't want divorce. Then this abuse becomes such a normalcy that they deal with it. They stay because they don't want to be alone, but in essence they are very alone in their own home, and constantly terrified and broken. They're alone inside their soul. So do you want to look back when you're 85, 90 years old, if you're blessed to live that long, and look back and try to search for the good memories that you had, and you realize that you wasted your whole life because you chose to stay with this person that verbally abused you or physically abused you? Like I said, you get one life. If you manage to dodge car wrecks and you manage to, keep from getting killed somehow, or you battle cancer, like I said, you get one life. And I urge people that are going through physical, verbal abuse, get the hell out of there, because, and another thing too, which is horrible, is if you get parents that have kids, but they fight and they argue constantly, and they basically can't stand each other, but we need to stay together for the kids. I'm sorry, but that's the biggest mistake in the world, because that fighting and continuing to argue is so detrimental, and it puts so much pain in those kids' hearts. Hey, look at it this way: if you all believe in, if you're Christians and you celebrate Christmas, and you do get a divorce, heck, kids get 2 Christmases. They get to go to Daddy's house and they get Christmas, and they go to Mommy's house to get Christmas. But to stay together just for the sake of the children, it backfires, and it's actually harder on the child. That's just common sense. Like I say in videos, there's no such thing as a Brady Bunch, but there is a point when 2 people that are, that once fell in love and got married and worshipped each other are now distant, spread apart, and pretty much despise each other. That's when it's time to call quits. But if you're that female that's constantly being belittled and put down and verbally abused, told what a piece of shit you are, you're not the only one. And there are women that have gotten the courage and reached out and asked somebody for help and got out of that situation and rebuilt their lives, and now are extremely happy living that life that God gave you the way that He intended you to live it. Happy. So I'm torn because I have a friendship with this, where do you draw the line of mental illness, and give them the pass of, oh, well, yeah, you pretty much beat your wife, but, you're suffering from mental illness. You're competent enough to know right from wrong. So, I don't usually turn my back on people, but on this one, I have to, because it just sickens me what has occurred. And then once that victim or that person goes off and goes to jail, the victim kind of blossoms a little bit and opens up and tells you what really goes on behind closed doors. And you could be a pillar of the community and everybody thinks you're great, and then they don't know that you go home and you constantly put your significant other down and call them trash and piece of shit and make fun of them, and and then physically abuse them. And to all you men out there that put your hands on a woman, if you're subscribed to my channel, unsubscribe, because you're a freaking piece of shit as far as I'm concerned. And like I said, men that say, well, I was beaten as a child. Yeah, so was I, by two different men, till I got old enough to fight back. Did it, and the men say, pardon me, it's early. Well, I was beaten when I was a kid, and that's what I saw, so, it's just how I was raised. Well, yeah, motherfucker, I saw my mom get beat all the time, and my brothers and sisters get beat all the time, and I'm not talking little spankings on the butt, I'm talking punching, choking, kicking. So, you're a coward, you're a piece of shit, you're not a man if you beat on women and children. Point blank, you're not. You're nothing. You're not a man. You're not entitled to be called a man. So I came to those crossroads when I became an adult and into manhood, that I wasn't following the same path that my father and my stepfather did. I was choosing the right path, to respect a woman. Yeah, in my drinking days, yeah, I had quite from what I've told, and, I take ownership. I'm guess not a very happy drunk, but not a woman beater. But I have been, in a drunken rage, so to speak, and, called out some names, which right there is verbal abuse. And I was guilty of it. Now me, I blame it on alcohol. Well, yeah. And, I myself, through recovery, those are the things that I've had to deal with and make my apologies. But it's not like I'm saying it was an everyday thing, like total blackout. But if you're, even like I said, you're sober and you just constantly use your wife or fiance or girlfriend as a mental, verbal punching bag or a physical punching bag, you're a fucking piece of shit. You can save it you can go get help and try to find the underlying problem. But once again, I urge women that are going through this abuse, think about it. Where are you going to be if you're on that porch at 85, 90 years old and you look back and try to think of the fond memories and you realize I wasted all my years just to stay with this man that abused me and went out and enjoyed his life, and I wasted my whole life. The life that God gave you. It's a special gift, and it's yours to enjoy, not for another man to control. You control your own life, your own destiny. So if you are out there and you are being verbally abused or physically abused in both, I seek you get the hell out of there. And there are so many foundations and women, women like, I don't have no money, I have no way to support myself. Doesn't matter, you'll have people to boost you up. So, anyways, I'm running out of time. I got 30 seconds left because this phone only does 15 minutes. So, just get the hell out of there. And for you men that put your hands on a woman, you're trash. You are not men. You need to seek help or start punching yourself in the face, or actually fight a real man instead of beating on a child or a woman. So anyways, everybody be safe. For all y'all women out there being abused, I'm praying for you. Take care. Peace. Be safe.